We're recording.
You look good, girl.
Thanks.
There you go.
Don't call me girl, though.
You look good, girly pop. It's gender neutral.
Hey, what episode is this? 3? 4?
4.
Sheesh.
4?
Yeah,
Are
episode
we in
4.
4?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We're still in single digits and we forgot. We lost count.
Dude, I have the worst memory, so.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Dopamine Flow.
Another one.
Another one.
Can we put that on a button?
Let's do it. Yeah.
We should do that.
This is episode 4. If you missed last time's episode.
Last week's? No.
Yeah. Last week, sure.
Okay.
You should definitely go watch it.
Go check us out.
We were vulnerable, as we always are, in the spirit of transparency.
Yeah.
With the red flags.
Look. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was like, was I vulnerable?
Most of them were lies.
Anthony showed his true colors. So let's give a round of applause for Anthony for.
That's, yeah. Oh, here. I
You
got you.
figure it out.
I got you.
There you go.
Hit the button one time.
I'm sorry. Anthony's still trying to figure this thing out.
Nah, I got it. We good.
But yes, we were extremely transparent. I hope none of you guys hate us for being anyone who drives a Nissan out there, anyone who
Right. I was probably getting a lot of hate for the Ultima one.
who has the fur on their steering wheel. Look, Anthony was really making it known.
Hey, I'm just sharing what the people said. That's it. I'm just sharing what the people said.
I'm just being transparent.
Transparent.
There you go.
That's all we could do.
Okay.
So today's topic, we're going to be talking about growing up Latino and Latina.
Yes.
Because there is like a cultural gap, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who living in LA, you don't feel it as much. I feel like because it's a melting pot, and you kind of just are surrounded by so many, especially in like the Hawthorne area, the South
H-Town.
Bay. Plug them in really
Right.
quick. You don't feel it because you're surrounded by like so many Hispanics and so many different kinds of people that you kind of just like it's never on like. But if you ever go outside of here and like travel around, it doesn't even have to be that far, honestly. You definitely feel like different when you're not surrounded by your people, your culture, your raza.
And that's what I love about LA. It's really a big melting pot of different cultures.
Yeah.
Because it's not only just like Hispanics. You have like, you have blacks, Asians, whites. You have, Caribbeans, and you can
Everyone.
just go everywhere. Yeah.
Literally, like Indian, Middle Eastern.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you just go into a certain area and then you're surrounded by so many different. Like we have a little of everything. Like.
Right.
Little Tokyo.
And I think we take it for granted because
1,000%.
I know for me one time I went to Kansas, and I know, don't ask me why.
No,
I was
I've been to Kansas too.
Okay, so you know what's up.
That's why I thought it was
funny. Well, okay, so funny thing, I walked off the plane. I probably shouldn't have said this out loud, but I literally thought out loud. I was like, it smells like fried frogs. I've never had a fried frog or like the frog legs,
Yeah.
I heard it tastes like chicken.
That everything tastes like chicken.
I come off the plane, I'm like, why does it smell like fried frogs?
Why'd your mind go to frogs though? You've never
Because like, okay, I'm not gonna.
The prejudice.
Yes, I'm not gonna.
He was just.
We're not gonna go there.
That's so.
In my mind, I thought that's. Okay,
That's
never
so
mind.
Leave that one in the archives.
Yeah, we'll cut that out.
Leave that one in the archives. But no, yeah, I think we definitely take it for granted. And it's like, I mean, growing up, especially, you kind of feel it. And I feel like you feel it more because if you're like first generation, you definitely feel it more depending on like what schools you go to. And, like who, and your family especially, I don't know, that's the way that I felt, is kind of like when you're like in the middle ground. Like you don't really feel a lot of, you're never like 100% this or 100% that. Even though I consider myself like 100% Mexican, that's like what I identify as. I'm definitely not white.
Are you a mix?
No.
You're 100%?
I'm 100% Mexican.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I say that to myself and then I don't, but internally growing up in like a first gen kind of thing where like some of your cousins like, or aunts and uncles came from Mexico. And then the other side of me, half of them were born here. So you never feel 100% of that, even though that's what I identify as.
Yeah.
Like people will always be like, oh, like you're not Mexican. Like they take that from me. It's like, you're not Mexican. Like, you don't like Mexican things, or like, you don't. And it's like, what? Like, then what am I? Please tell me what I am.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know me more than I know myself, apparently.
Right. Because it's just, and it's something that's so infuriating to me. It's just like, in growing up that way, it's just like, if you are embedded or you like certain things more than you like other things that like don't identify as like Mexican or whatever, it's like, oh, you're not really Mexican. Like, and it's so like, I don't know if you experienced that, because I just found out. Well, I didn't just find out. It always slips my mind that Anthony's not Mexican at all.
I'm not.
So tell the people what you are. Surprise.
I'm Guatemalan. So both of my parents are from Guatemala. And I was born here, but both my parents from Guatemala. My mom from Nueva Santa Rosa, which is like a little like rancho over there. And my dad's from the capital. So I grew up, you know, I mean, there's no like, I guess real, I mean, there's some culture differences, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But I think the funny thing is that because, you know, my friends throughout my life are mainly Mexican. Yeah. It's like,
I feel, I don't know. I just embrace you as one of, you know, but we're all, see, I just don't see the difference. I mean, obviously there's differences like when you get into it, but I just have always been like, oh, okay. Like Hispanics are just, you know, we're all Latinos are just, we're all one big cohort, and like not to, you know, take away from each culture, because obviously like every single one has its like perks and beauties and, you know, differences. And I like embrace those differences, but I've always been like, oh, like cool. Like I've never been one to be like, oh, what are you?
Yeah.
And like,
right.
You know, that doesn't pop into my head. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, you know, we both listen to the same things, like party the same way for the most part. Speak the same language. I mean, obviously there's differences, but I just embrace it.
Yeah.
But like, obviously there's differences.
That, you know what, that reminds me of like this line in the Selena movie where the dad, I know, right? The dad's talking to Selena and he's pretty much saying, and I'm going to paraphrase this, but he's saying, we're too Mexican to be Americans. Yes. But we're too American to be considered Mexicans. Yeah. Like either way, if you go to Mexico, you're a gringo. You're a gringa. Yeah, a gringa. You're white. Yeah. But here, like you're not fully American. You're Mexican, or so to say. You know.
Yeah. If you're not white, you're not. Yeah. They're gonna be like, oh. Well, like,
so it's like you're kind of trying to find yourself. Where do I fit?
Exactly. Like I feel like there's no true, and I'm obviously like you find your cohorts, and that's what I was saying in the beginning. Like LA, living in LA is just crazy because you don't feel that. But like I noticed it when I would go to like visit Michaela, like out in, well, she was in Alabama and Mississippi, so like the South. And obviously like there's Hispanics. I feel like if you're in like the metropolitan areas of those cities, which are like really small compared to LA, but for the most part, it was just like black or white. There was like no in between. And like there was times where like I would go out and like we would go out to restaurants and I'd be like the only like Hispanic.
Right.
No, like genuinely, I was like, where are they? Like, and not to be
y'all
like,
on vacation? Y'all go to Cancun without me?
Yeah, you're spending the off season. You're spending the off season over there. But it is just crazy, like the differences in like the states that, you know, like we genuinely people like, unless you have family there, you're not really visiting. But that's like the one time where I was like where are the, you know, because you were here and you're like, I see them everywhere. Yeah. Like genuinely everywhere. And so I've never felt, I think that's the time where I like felt, oh, okay, I don't fit in anywhere. Yeah. And it's like a crazy thing to experience because there's so many Latinos here and like we all shared kind of like a similar experience. But I remember going into a liquor store and like the owner was Caribbean or something. Like he had a thick accent, like, and I walk in and I was buying beer or something, and I give him my ID, and he's like, "Oh, you don't look like you're from here." And I was like, "Oh," I said, "I'm sorry,
sir." One more time for the camera.
And I was like, "What does that mean?" And he's like, "You just don't look like you're from here." And then I gave him my ID, and he saw California, and he's like, "Ah, okay, like that makes sense."
Yeah.
I said, "I'm sorry," one more time. And that was like an eye-opening experience. Like that was like so many years ago, but I was just like, that stays with me because it's like the first time that I was like, I don't fit in here. Like, and you know, they obviously are noticing this.
That reminds me one time when I was a young kid, I was helping my mom out clean this house, and I was on like summer vacation. I forgot. I was maybe in like 5th grade or something like that.
Oh, you're little.
Yeah. Desde morro, you know, chambeando.
Give me that grind. That's that.
I've been on that grind.
That's that Latino work ethic.
So I remember I went to this Subway, and this was in PV. And Palos Verdes or Palos Verdes.
I know.
Yeah.
I say that. And
I don't know which one to say, so I just say PV.
I say PV, and people are like, what does that mean? And then
because if I say
Palos Verdes,
right,
which is because we listen to it that way.
Exactly.
It's like saying Sepulveda, even though it's Sepulveda. Like,
right.
It's just a whole thing.
You get looked wrong.
You're like, it's Palos Verdes. I'm like,
but if you say Palos Verdes, they look at you like, what?
We don't.
You mean Palos Verdes?
Yeah.
But then if you say Palos Verdes, they're like, what, bro? Palos Verdes? Yeah. So
that's the moral. Just sums up this episode.
PV. The only thing I don't really say is like El Segundo.
No, I don't say
El Segundo. I just say like El Segundo or Gundo, you know, just because.
Gundo.
Oh, gosh. I'm going to cut that one out. I know, right? I rarely say that one.
He outed himself. I don't ever.
Anyways, back to my PV story.
You were in PV.
And I went to a Subway.
Okay.
And I was, you know, just telling them what I want. And then I said, oh, can I get some cilantro? And the guy looked at me. He's like, what? I thought you were Asian. I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, like so far out.
I thought you were like Filipino.
Pull until up a baby
you said,
picture.
Well, actually, I do look.
That's what I was
you know,
say.
Like when I was younger, I did look pretty Filipino. Or
we'll
like
plug
that.
in a baby picture because I'm having.
We ain't doing that.
We're gonna do it.
I edit, so no, we do.
You're right.
But yeah, he was like, "Oh, I didn't know like you spoke Spanish until you said cilantro. I didn't know you were like Latino." And I was like, "Yeah," but
it's weird.
Yeah, I think just like another crazy phenomenon going back to like identity, especially right now. It's with the World Cup.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how like everybody goes for the teams that like it's their parents' nationality?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from, and I get this so much, and I don't know. It's always such a tough thing because I get like I'm surrounded by so many different people that because I obviously go from Mexico, and I think that's just embedded in my childhood, and that's just like when you grow up, you're a Dodgers fan because your parents are Dodgers fans, and you just take on their teams, like and you know, until either you like them, but usually they stick. I've always been like a Mexico fan from like the day I started watching soccer, and like that was a huge part because obviously like you're Mexican, but then it wasn't until high school where I think it was like the 2014 or not the last World Cup, the one before. People were like, I would go out to watch it, and people were like, "Oh, why are you going from Mexico? You're not Mexican. You're American. Like you're American." And I was like, I said,
do we cut those people out? I'm just asking.
I was like, what are you? Yeah, no, I it wasn't. They're not people. I mean,
right.
They're not people that I like. But we've had these discussions so many times because it's like, you were born here. And I'm like, yeah, I was born here, but so are so many other people.
Right.
And I think because we live in such a like diverse place that people kind of accept it. But then you get into like, no, you were born here. Like, this is your nationality. Like, you should be going for where you're from. And I'm like, well, it's not that easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you identify as this. Like, yes, I'm American. I was born here. My mom was, you know, but my dad wasn't. Mm-hmm. So I also get that like first gen feel where I'm like, no, I grew up like Mexican, like very, very Mexican, where like Spanish was my first language.
Yeah.
So I was
same.
Well, I was an ELD. How are you? Are you gonna tell me I'm American? And no, that's like the truth. Like genuinely, like I was in ELD classes, maybe like in elementary school, and then I took classes like at LMU, like English classes, like grammar, reading, whatever, and then
at LMU.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had like a little
at a young age. Look at you at LMU.
Young scholar. Who would have thought? But my thing is like I was in those classes. Like like obviously I'm gonna go for that. But the World Cup is just like I think it always sparks those things because I'm a ride or die for Mexico. You know what I'm saying? Obviously I go for it's like I'm torn. I'm torn between two places. I have always leaned toward, I've never owned like a US jersey. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I've never really like kept up with the players, whatever. But I will ride or die for Mexico, even though we lost. And it's just
it's Argentina.
It's really a sensitive subject. It was funny because I was like trying to do the math. We were like, after they lost,
we were
everyone's
like, doing the math.
We're like, how do we stay in? Like, what do we need to
got to win against Saudi Arabia.
And it's like you have to win. You have to score Poland. 3, and then Poland has to like beat it's just, it's so exhausting. And I'm just like, it hurts like being a Mexico fan because you have so much heart. Yeah. And truly, I think that's what I was thinking the other day. I was like, Mexico just has so much heart. Like if you see the TikToks and like on social media, all the Mexicans in Qatar.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like, they're out there. They're doing tacos and like.
Well, do you see the stadium? Well, I don't know if you watched it because, you know.
Yeah. Well,
but
because my team's not in it. Sure. I do watch. I do partake.
You did, and that's why I was like, partake. He's not even Mexican. That's what it clicked in my head. I was like, wait, he's not. But they just have so much, like we could suck. Like we know we're not great. We don't have any elite players, whatever. But they just have so much heart. And like they really do. And like the fan bases, like, come on, bro. They're in Qatar.
Right.
What business do we have?
None.
That's what I'm saying.
But they're there.
But they're there, and they're making their presence known, and I love that. Like,
and they're not the hired fans. You know what I'm saying? You'll see the TikToks. Bro, yes. Yeah, where they're hiring their own people to be like, fans. Like I know the fake
you're
fans.
Not Spanish.
They didn't have to do that for Mexico.
I know you're not sure. For Italy.
Yeah. Come on, bro. You got that Argentina jersey on. You do not look Argentina.
That's what I'm saying. But you know what? It's just like that's like the beauty about growing up Hispanic is like you just have this orgullo, like this ser, and that's honestly like the one thing where, because like growing up, you get the types of people who are like, you kind of feel like when you're taken out of that comfort zone and you're being put into like somewhere where it's kind of like not the norm to be Mexican, or like there's so many stereotypes and stuff where you kind of like are made to feel embarrassed. And I'm like, and I did go through that where I was like, oh, like I don't want to speak Spanish in front of, like my dad would call me and I would have to like, I would walk away because I was like, oh, I don't want to speak. It was so sad. But I'd be like, oh, I don't really want to speak Spanish in front of my friends right now. Like, even though all my friends were all my friends have been like mostly Hispanic for like the majority of my life. But I would just be like, oh, like it would, like you just get that little
They're all screaming at you through the phone. You're like, yes, mom. All right. Yeah, I'm just with friends. Se me venga ahorita mismo.
Ay, chica, ¿dónde estás? Like, te dije que no puedes ir.
Is everything good? Yeah, everything's good.
No, bro, I need to go right now.
My mom checking in. Yeah, I gotta go. Sorry, bro.
But that's the main thing that I take away is that we are just like so passionate about everything that we do, whether it's like pendejadas or it's just like regular things. But on the other end of the spectrum, there's just so much like, unsaid things that we obviously need to do better as. But it's just like wild. Like the World Cup, it really like makes you think. And I've been in my head about it for a while because I'm like, every single time, like I feel like once you start thinking about your culture, you're like, you like micro, like dissect.
Yeah,
everything.
No, for sure.
I don't know if it's different for you because Guatemala, I know it's different, but the same,
Yeah.
Like, how does that feel?
Well, yeah, so...
Do you go through the same thing?
Not as much. Okay, so, going off one point, Guatemala I don't think they've ever made it to the World Cup. I don't even remember when's the last time.
No.
They've made it to, like, the qualifiers.
They made it to the last round.
The last round of qualifiers 4 times. But they've never made it to the World Cup that I know of. Right. I could be wrong.
Maybe like
because I remember playing like FIFA on my PlayStation 2. Yeah. I was playing FIFA 08, 09, and even back then, I would always like, why is there no Guatemala?
Would you really like think that though?
Yeah, I was. It was kind of like sad. So like I wouldn't see my country on there. Yeah. I would have to go to like FIFA 2002. That's was like, and they're like little stick figures and passing the ball. But
I was gonna say.
So I kind of always grew. I think that's why soccer hasn't been embedded too much in me because culturally,
it hasn't been.
We just know like our team sucks.
Yeah, it hasn't been represented.
We did have one guy And if you're Guatemalan, you know El Pescadito Ruiz.
Never.
That guy, you little fish fan. Carlos
I love
Ruiz.
it.
He played for Galaxy too.
Really?
Yeah, he was our star guy. He was our like Chicharito. He was our our.
Yeah, but
I could go off. Yeah. But he was our star guy, and yeah, you know, unfortunately, like our national team like hasn't really made it. But who knows? 2026 might be our year.
Look,
2026.
If you see it, I was like, I saw that the only reason why I was like, he's not Mexican. Like, I always forget just because I really am not like hyper aware of like, you know, I just don't make it. Yes, like I like, you know, appreciate the differences and like, but I'm not like always one to be like, oh, you're not, you know, it's not in the front of my my head all the time. Like, oh, he's not one of, you know, but I was like, you posted while you were like not Mexican, but watching, I was like, he's not.
Yeah, that's so funny. So
I was like, but you are in my eyes.
I think a lot of people probably like think I am. And that goes back to my point that like I grew up around friends who are Mexican. And it's funny because they all say like, oh yeah, we just adopted you.
No, yeah, you get your Mexican card.
And I had posted that on my story and I had like a couple of people like reply to you, oh, we adopted you, or like, you know, our family adopted you, or this and that. And I think what I really like about it, like, you know, the Mexican culture, just like the family in general, like it's all about vibes. It's all about triple P, puro party. You know what I'm saying? Puro pinche party.
Yeah.
And it's honestly a lot of jokes. It's just comedy. You know, and I love being around that.
The funniest people I know are like my family because they're so funny for like, it's just being them. Like they're not even trying to.
Like last night, for example, I was at the Wisin y Yandel concert at Crypto Arena.
Staples Center.
Staples Center. Right.
To say. I'm like, where's the crypto?
Can we just go down on record? We're just going to call it Staples.
If you hear the crypto.
I'm over here, crypto.com arena. Yeah, it's like, come on, bro.
I'm not saying
All right, so I was at Staples.
There you go.
Staples Center, not Staples the store. I don't even know if they're still around.
No.
But anyways, it was the same day as the Mexico-Argentina game, so everybody had their Mexico jerseys on.
Yeah.
And we were leaving, and this guy, you know, he had his Mexico jersey on, but he had the what's it called? Like the turban, right? That they use in Qatar, you know, the little thing with the little like circle.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm so sorry.
And one of our friends, Jenny, she was like, "Ay, se pasan la raza."
No, they do, because why? Why are you doing that?
And then our friend Javi was like, "Hey, bro, like, you just came back from Qatar. What's up?"
He just hopped off the flight.
Yeah, just hopped off the flight.
Took a tough L, booked it back home.
But it's just like a lot of, and then, you know, you see on TikTok and Instagram a lot of funny things going on over Qatar. You know, they're making tacos.
Bro, they're just
over here, they're chants.
They're clowns.
It's funny.
Bro.
It's there. So,
and that's why I'm saying, like, it's just so, like, yeah, at the end of the day, sometimes you're like, you feel like the kind of like the negative. You're like, oh, yeah, my culture is like, they're doing this again.
Oh, you know here they go again.
It's like, come on, bro. Like, the worst thing, I think, is when news drops and you're like, please
don't let it be a Mexican. Don't let it be some Latino.
Like, please, God, please don't let it. Then you see them, you're like, oh my God, thank God. Bendito sea.
Yeah.
Like, but those are things that you have to think about.
Yeah,
like, because
that's so true.
Because it's like you don't want another.
Because as soon as one headline starts, oh, here we go. Here comes
all them.
Yeah.
I mean, it was more prominent during, you know, the Trump era. But that it's still embedded in me. I'm like, please don't do anything dumb. Please, for the love of God, don't be anything like. And that's just because I'm just like, I'm so proud to be it that it's just like you don't want one, but si se pasan. Yeah. Sometimes si se pasan, where you're like, I'm sorry, like you have to like.
And you know what I was thinking about the other day? Like me growing up, and this was probably more prominent in the 90s, like late 90s, maybe early 20s. It kind of died off. But
like, I'm a late 90s baby.
Right. So
don't go too far back.
Well, yeah. And so there was this beef between like Central America and Mexico.
There still is.
Well, but think about it though.
Like, I mean,
it was more predominant like in the 90s.
Yes,
I feel right. There was this like beef and like I don't know for what. Yeah. But it's crazy because like us, like this new generation,
we don't care.
We kind of squashed that because we're like, we don't care. And it's funny, like now, you know, there would be like a beef between like Salvis in Mexico or Guatemalans in Mexico, but now like everyone's having kids together, you know?
We're all meshing together.
Yeah.
It's like
It's a taco no pupusa, you know? Just like
Thanksgiving's looking different. The holidays are looking different.
What is it? Pavo con pan. That's what they
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
For your Thanksgiving, do you eat regular Thanksgiving food?
Yeah, it's like turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, stuff.
Because I saw someone and they were eating like
pan con pollo?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, that's a Salvadorian thing.
Okay, and
it's really a torta.
That's okay. I was gonna say a torta, but I didn't want to.
And they just put chicken in it and like lettuce.
Yeah,
they're like Happy Thanksgiving.
It's a torta.
Y'all do you though.
I love ham, but that's why I was like, does it look different?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it does like on my dad's side because they like immigrated. They like sometimes it's been like tamales.
I was gonna say the biggest thing is the tamales.
Champurrado.
You know,
we have like this like breading, like bread pudding called like capirotada. Ooh. It's fire! Oh my god, I'm like I might shed a tear because
the biggest difference is the tamales, and I actually dig both around Christmas time. Like I like the Guatemalan tamales, but I also like the Mexican ones.
And see, I didn't even know there was differences in tamales until maybe when I was. I had met my friend from college and he's Salvadoran. Mm-hmm. And he was like, does your mom make tamales like around Christmas time? I'm like, oh yeah, like first, like she makes all tamales, but it's only once a year. Like, you know, you're only getting them for once a year for 2 weeks straight.
That's it.
Like, you better enjoy those 2 weeks. And then he was like, I'll trade you some of my Salvadoran empanadas for your Mexican tamales. I was like, you guys have empanadas? Like, I've never heard of this before. Yeah. And they were pretty good, but I was like, that's the one thing that I was like, oh, like you guys have those. And then it opened up what else do you guys do? Like, you know?
That's funny. I used to trade tamales too.
Yeah, it's like
because Salvadorians, if I remember, they had like a whole papa in there, like a potato. They're thick. Right? And I think the Belizean ones had like a whole chicken wing in it, like the whole bone. The bone was in the tamales.
That's dangerous.
And I want to say Salvadorians also put like raisins in the tamales, which I wasn't really a fan of. The sweet ones. And so Guatemalan tamales, they're more moist and they're made with banana leaves.
Yes.
And I like them.
Yes, because I was like, when he gave them to me.
Yeah.
I didn't go searching for what they were. I was just like, oh, they're tamales. I guess they put different things in them. I genuinely wasn't expecting what I saw. Yeah. I was like, why are they so big?
Wrapped in foil, and then you got the banana leaf. Yeah.
Like, and then they're good. But I'm one to like embrace, like, we swap in foods. Like during the holidays, I like people make empanadas. Like we don't really have empanadas. Our empanadas are like tamales. I'm like, my friend, like Puerto Rican, I'm like, hey, can you have your mom send me over some empanadas? Like,
oh,
dude, fire.
I didn't know Puerto Ricans do that. Yeah,
amazing. So that's why I'm like, I think that the younger generation, we're more embracing.
See, we're just like meshing it. We're like,
we're like, what do you have to offer me? And
yeah,
you're like,
let's trade.
I will trade with you. It's like a bartering system.
You know, it's crazy that we're talking about the holidays, but does it even feel like the holidays?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Or like, do we just skip into Christmas?
I honestly, Thanksgiving felt like a Thursday to me.
Yeah.
I woke up and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Also, it's like 80 degrees in November.
Right.
Which is why I was like kind of pissed off. Because I'm like, during the holidays, I wish I could migrate to like where you feel the seasons. But this Thanksgiving just felt so not like Thanksgiving. Usually sometimes like we don't give Thanksgiving the credit that we do because it's like, yeah, it's there, but it's in the middle between like Halloween and Christmas, so it kind of gets looked over. But it just felt like a Thursday. Like it wasn't. Yeah, we had the food and I celebrated with my family and stuff. But I was just like, it doesn't have that holiday spirit. So then I'm like, is Christmas gonna feel like that? Like if Christmas doesn't feel like Christmas, I'm gonna cry because I love Christmas. But in like you celebrate Hispanic, it's like just so weird because you celebrate different days, like. I celebrate the 24th, you know, usually with my dad's side of the family. And then you stay up until fucking
midnight.
Excuse the language. But it makes me so hot, bro. I'm tired. I'm 24. Like, can we?
You're falling asleep. But as a kid, you were staying up because you wanted to open those presents.
Yeah. As a kid, I didn't know how far midnight was. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, like we staying up. We're, you know, doing the thing. We're playing our little games. We're just like Honestly, I think I remember as a kid like taking a nap in between because I was like, dude, like this is gonna be. I just remember like it was my like obviously the adults party. Like that's what you do during Christmas. You sit in the sala, all pretty, and then the adults are partying, drinking, whatever. And then
you're at the kids' table playing loteria or something.
And then when 12 hits, like you open your gifts.
Yeah.
So now I'm the adult though, and then I'm like, oh, dude, like. Can we?
That's what we got to do.
I'm like, it makes me so happy to see the little kids like get their presents and stuff. And I'm like, do I have to stay till 12?
Nah, I'll be like, where's my present?
Can we open? You feel all sad. You're like, who's this for? Not me. You're like passing out the gifts. To, like,
oh yeah, they're like, oh okay, that's you.
That's me. I'm like, okay, I guess this isn't for me. But I think that's the main difference. Like. Between now, like growing up and like holidays is like I just don't feel well, obviously like you're not going to feel like that forever. Yeah. But it's just like Christmas doesn't feel like I still feel Christmas. Like I love Christmas, whatever, like the whole shebang. I love the Christmas music at the mall. I love all that stuff. But like the transition from like when you're a child to Christmas and then now is so like you feel it. You're like something's off. Like, yeah, you're still doing the same things, but something's off. And it's because you're not like a little kid who's like, now you're spending money on gifts. You're like, yeah, my bank is hurting.
Can I be honest about something?
Yeah.
In the spirit of transparency.
Okay. I hate when you say that because I'm like,
because
now I have to be transparent.
Oh, okay. In the spirit of transparency, I haven't been much of a Christmas person or a holidays person. TBH, my favorite Christmas movie is The Grinch.
I love The Grinch.
Yeah. But I feel some kind of like connection to it.
To The Grinch?
But in a funny way. In a funny way. You know when he's a little kid and he's like sitting at his desk and he has his little hair up and he's like, you know? I like that.
You resonate more with The Grinch hating Christmas.
Yeah. In a fun way.
Like he's trying to make a light joke.
Don't.
In a funny way.
I don't like the malls where they're all like, you know, oh gosh, it was like the 1st of November. The 1st of November. They were
popping.
My coworkers, you know what time it is? Christmas music. I'm like, dog.
I love it.
At least wait till Thanksgiving's over.
No, I love it.
Nah.
I can celebrate Christmas like in November. But I don't even. Spirit of transparency. I hate Halloween.
Yeah, I don't like
it's
Halloween.
Not a great holiday.
To me, it's like a child's holiday.
Yeah, like I think it's so cute to see the little kids in their little costumes, but I hate it. But going back, I am like such a Christmas person, but I think that's because like growing up, it's so like Hispanics, like that's the time where like your families get together and you're like, it's like so family oriented. Yeah. That like you feel that because you're all together. So that's, I think why growing up you kind of carry that. Mm-hmm. That's probably why it feels different because like you move away, people move away, like come and go, whatever. But I can't believe you don't like Christmas.
Well, you know what? I think that will change once I have my own family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that perspective will change. Mm-hmm. Until then, Thanksgiving is actually one of my favorite holidays because you get to eat bomb food and then you got to go shopping the next day. How better can that get?
I hate Black Friday.
What? That used to be my favorite holiday.
It's not even a holiday.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is to me.
It's my favorite holiday. I love it.
Consumerism.
Yeah. Keep supporting corporate America.
But I don't know. That's I guess.
People like you keep our economy going.
Hey, someone's got to do it.
But no, I think that's like the craziest part, like growing up is like the transition. But I think I still love Christmas and I will like the holidays still kind of feel like the holidays obviously like into an adulthood. But I think holidays were just better when you were a kid.
Right.
Like I feel like everything was better when you were a kid.
True that.
the naivety.
Speaking of which, have you felt like there's been some differences in being a Latina as a kid?
Yeah, girl.
Just growing up.
Yeah. Of course.
Oh, yeah, especially as a girl.
Of course. Like I was going to say, do you have time?
Oh.
Do we have
I think we got some time.
No, I think like growing up Hispanic was just like a crazy thing where you think they're normal and then you grow up and you're like, why were you doing that? Like, why was I drinking Coke out of a bottle at what?
With
at
fun.
one.
Yeah, no, you know what? I was thinking about, I had coffee with pan as a kid.
My abuelita.
And I would dig it.
God bless her heart.
Yeah.
What was she doing giving me café de la olla at like
That's so true. I didn't think about all that.
I'm telling you, when you dig deep, it gets interesting. You're like...
To us, it's normal.
I'm like tweaking out because of the caffeine.
Café con pancito, you know?
But that's what I'm saying. Like growing up, and then you obviously make different friends and you tell them these stories and they're like, they look at you sideways.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you didn't do that? Like,
let me ask you something. Do you, I didn't realize other cultures didn't do this, but do you like keep all the shopping bags? Like,
yes,
let's say like from Target or like Trader Joe's.
In a bigger bag?
Yeah, I have it in my drawer.
And
I didn't realize that's a culture thing. Not everybody does that. I'm like, wait, what?
No one does that. I'm like, you don't have a bag for the bags?
Or you don't keep the oven as like a storage for pots?
That's one thing when I get my own house, mark my words, whenever the day I move out, I will never put another fucking dish in the oven.
You got to preheat the oven. Oh, wait.
We gotta
take out the cat. You gotta take out like everything for storage. You know?
Everything. That's a storage unit.
That's so funny.
That's literally a cabinet. And that's one of the things that like you don't think about. But I'm telling you, like, I think that was one of the biggest things growing up was realizing like not everyone does these things. Another one was like just cultural things. Like I would tell my friends like, oh, I can't go out because like I just showered, and they're like, what? I'm like, I just showered. My mom won't let me leave the house.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean? Like, just wear a sweater. And I'm like, no, my hair's wet.
Oh my gosh, yes.
They're like,
Vapping.
They're like, I'm like, and now when you're growing up, you're like, and grandma, why was she telling me these lies? Like,
don't go outside with your hair wet. You're gonna get sick.
Don't walk around barefoot. Descanso. Like,
that's so crazy.
Dude, these things that you just start thinking about is the craziest thing. I'm like, my tita really lied to me my whole life. Like,
hey,
why was she? Hey, but sometimes she be make the vaporu.
I was just about to say, you're sick. What do you do? What do you do? Ponete vaporu en el pecho.
In the back. No, my grandma.
Yes.
My grandma would put it on my toes and then put a calcetín
on. ¿Ya
yes.
Por caminando descalzo.
Por andar en las calles sin un suéter. I'm like, what? And people stare at you like you're weird, bro. Like my American friends.
Yeah.
They're just like, I'm sorry, you like, I remember the one time someone said, oh, just put vapor rub. And I'm like,
vapor rub.
I'm like, where do you buy that? Yeah. They're like, vapor rub. Like, you don't know what vapor rub is? I'm like, no, like, what is it? They Google it. I'm like, vaporub.
Yeah, vaporub.
I'm like, it's because we can't say vapor rub. It's because my tita was like, she doesn't speak English. She's saying vaporub.
Yeah, that's everyone.
And I was like, dude, that was the time where I was like, yo.
Or
what else have I been missing?
Or like when you're younger, you know, like middle school or whatever, and like, you know, sleeping over a friend's house wasn't a
no,
thing.
you're not.
You cannot.
Not even my cousins.
Like, and you wouldn't even dare ask.
It's like,
but if you did, you're like, hey, you ask her for me.
Yeah.
Hey,
call her real quick.
Yeah, can you ask my mom for me?
Call her real quick. Say is.
No, Anthony, eso no, you know.
Eso no se hace.
And then
no se quedan en las casas.
Your friends would be like, why? Just do it, you know? Or like something else like, oh, you're already 18. Just do it.
Girl,
or like, you know, not for sleepover, but something else, like, you know, or leaving the house at like 3 a.m. Curfew, right?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, you're 18.
Just go.
You don't understand. Living in a Latino household, you do not understand.
Until you move out. And even I feel like when you move out, because they're still on your like case about it, they still like,
right.
¿Por qué andas en las calles tan tarde? Like, nada bueno pasa en las calles. And I'm like, dog, what? It's 10:30?
Yeah.
Or like when they round the time.
Oh, yeah.
Ya son las 12:30. And I'm like, Mom, it's 11.
Yeah.
Is your clock good? Like, what are you talking about? And that's the thing. Like, and these are the things that you really like. It's like, I'm glad we both resonate because obviously, like, being Guatemalan, it's like the same culture kind of. But when you start to like branch out and meet new people, they're like, what?
Yeah. Luckily for me, like my mom, she trusted me as a kid.
You're also a boy.
Yeah, you know what? All right, yeah, that's true. You're
also a boy. I think till I was 21, my mom was like, te quiero en la casa, like at 12.
Damn.
And I think it was like even earlier before. And it wasn't until my Jewish stepdad, like he like had my back. He was like, she can come home at like 2. Like I was like,
okay.
like win in my book.
We celebrate Hanukkah this year round.
You know what, Steve? I knew I liked you. And honestly, like that's the one thing where being a girl, it's like there's different rules. I don't know who made them.
Right.
Stupid. Because if anything, boys are doing dumber things than girls late at night. So I'm like, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. In my book, like curfew. Mm-hmm. For you, what time was it?
I didn't have one.
Oh,
I was just
privilege.
I was just being respectful.
The privilege. I didn't have one.
I was just being respectful. Like, you know, I won't come home too late. Like, I guess like middle school, like 10, 11.
That's middle school?
Yeah.
10, 11? Yeah. Dog, mine was 8. No, where was I going? I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. My mom was my ride.
10. All right, high school is like 11, 12. And then after that, it's just, you know.
Dude, I cannot, no. Like, and that's the thing. Like, being a guy, Hispanic is like, and being a girl is so different. Like, you look and you're like, you just let him do it. And I never went through that because I didn't have brothers. Like, I don't have brothers. But seeing my cousin who has an older brother and she's younger, it was like, oh no, you can't go to a party. But he was allowed to go to parties. And they're like, yeah, but it's different. What's different? They were at the same, you know?
Right.
Or like, oh no, you can't go hang out with your friends at the park. He did that. Like, there's just like so many double standards that just don't make sense to me. And it's just like, I'm kind of glad now that we're like able to, I think the newer generation is like getting out of that. Cause
yeah.
Like,
they lived through it. They felt it. They know what it's like.
Yes, bro. Because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It's crazy. I was literally talking to 2 friends about this yesterday. So one friend, she has an older brother. No, wait, is he older? Yes, he's older.
Yeah.
And he has like, you know, all the privilege. He's able to just leave the house and she has to stay in, this and that. She can't go out. And it just came to a point where she told her parents like, no, how come like he gets to do it and I don't, you know? And so I hear a lot of these stories. And then another friend, she's the oldest sister. She has 2 younger brothers and 1 younger sister in high school.
Oof,
so the 2 younger brothers had more like, you know, freedom to do things that they want, even though she's the oldest sister. And now the youngest sister, like, you know, she can have like
a boyfriend,
boys in the room. Ooh, that's one thing.
I am so glad God didn't bless me with any siblings because I'd be setting the house ablaze if I remember you do group projects. Like, I had to have these people at my house. Like, it wasn't my choice. Like, and I remember my mom was like, "Y no cierras esa puerta." I'm like,
for one thing, like even
also, I think I was a good child. I think I was like so innocent. And I still am.
A little halo on you.
I wasn't like doing anything like I know
your mind wasn't there.
I know. Yes, I can see why, you know, parents would be, but whatever. But I wasn't. I feel like my parents trusted me for the most part, but I was like, why can I still? I was like, what are we gonna do? You're in the house. Like, the audacity I would have to be doing something like that is crazy. But you're just like, no cierran la puerta. Like, were you guys like?
Well, that was another thing. Well, no. First thing, you can't have like a girl to the house. Period.
Yeah.
You know. Like, and if it was, you know, for like a group project in la sala.
Yeah.
There was no questions about it in the room.
Yeah.
And if and very high if that was the case, la puerta abierta.
Yeah, like no cierras esa puerta.
Yeah, but now I feel like the newer generations, you know, just because I have friends and they have younger siblings, they're like, for some reason, this newer generation, they're just cut some slack. You know, they're let loose from that.
Why?
And
I had to struggle.
Yeah,
you struggling too. Yeah. That's one thing.
And I get the whole reasoning behind it, and like kind of, you know, going. You know, when you get older as a parent, you gotta put those things into play. So I totally get it, but
I get it to a certain extent though.
Okay.
Like I, for one, like wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend. Like you gotta
until you're 18 or something like that.
Yeah, so you're 18. That was the rule. Like till you're 18, whatever. And bro, now it's like I was growing up with cousins having boyfriends in middle school, and like they were chill about it. Like they would come over to the family parties. I was like,
who?
You know, this is your boyfriend. Like you don't have to say they're your friend. Like that was me. I was like, oh, this is my friend. And my mom would be like, oh, you would spend a lot of time with this one friend. But like, they're just so nonchalant about it. They're like, oh yeah, get each other Christmas gifts, like buying Christmas gifts with their parents' money because obviously they don't have jobs. So like they buy their significant others Christmas gifts with their parents' money. And I'm like, what? It's like a whole new world to me where when it first, now I'm used to it. I'm like, whatever it is, what it is. But growing up, I was like, I could never.
Yeah.
Like, and is it jealousy? Was that?
You know what? If I have kids, I'm going to raise them to
the same standards I was.
But for a reason, just to give them that culture. You know what I'm saying?
Just to make them a well-rounded person.
It really does. It really... Yeah. Imagine, one of the best, like one of my favorite things, just memories, like thinking back is the little things, like going to the tienda, buying the calling cards. You remember? Okay, I don't know if you remember.
No, I do.
Yeah, if you wanted to call Mexico,
you had to buy a calling card with minutes on it.
Exactly. And then my mom, mijo, anda a la tienda, agarrame una carta. Oh, how much? Like for 10 minutes or for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And then, like, they would be like, you have 30 seconds left. Oh, okay, bye, everyone.
Ya no tengo tiempo, ya.
You know what I'm saying? The piñatas as a kid, like, going to the
Mexican candy.
Right, going to the store and, like, you see the big, like, bins of frijoles and putting your hands in it. I was one of those kids.
Sanitary. Ew, you were?
But it's like those little things, and especially like the music, hearing Los Bukis, Juan Sebastian, Juan Gabriel. Yes. Oh my, the list goes on.
Yes.
And like, I know one thing I told myself when I become a parent, when I become a father,
I'm playing that.
I don't care. And I'm
cleaning.
Like and I'm going to distill that into my kids so they know, like, because
it's cleaning time.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But also because that's like just legendary music.
Yeah. You don't want to get rid of that. I think like, oh my gosh, it's crazy that you say this because I think about this all the time. Like, how would I raise my kids? Like, especially if like you're dating someone like out of your culture or like things like that. It's like, how would that work? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. But growing up, I hated, which is part, I'm sure there's deeper rooted stuff, but I hated listening to Spanish music. I hated it every single time. Not all Spanish music because I loved Selena and I loved Ana Gabriel. No, Ana Gabriel. Is it?
Ana Gabriel?
Paulina Rubio.
Oh, okay.
All those like Paulina Rubio, like all the bad, like who broke my heart at like 6 years old? I don't know. ¿Quién como tú?
I'm not about to get in this right now.
No, Kevin,
no.
But I think for me, I hated it. Like I hated certain music.
Yeah.
Now I'm bumping in the car.
That's so true.
I'm cleaning to it. I'm like vibing, and I want to instill that. Like because yes, they will go through their phases where like I remember in middle school, my mom would take me to school, and I'd had my headphones in.
Yeah.
Because she was listening to that's like her music.
Oh right, her music.
I was like, I don't want to listen to
annoying,
this.
Yeah.
Put it in, vibe to my little, like, my things, Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
And I remember vividly, like, just driving every single day and then picking her up. And I dreaded because I lived in West LA. So the drive to, like, over here was kind of, especially in traffic, it was long. And I was like, oh, my God. This drive is going to suck because of the music because I didn't want to listen to it. Now I'm like, now
you're the one playing it.
Yeah, so now I'm like, I know there will be a time when my child is going to hate me and is going to put their little AirPods in.
Yeah.
But you know what? One day they're going to thank me.
We're doing it for the culture.
They're going to thank me.
We're keeping the culture alive.
Like, and I think now in social media, like, so it's just like generic TikTok songs that everyone listens to. That my nieces are going through it now, and I'm like, can you culture yourself? Like they just found like I think she just like started listening to like old Kendrick and like old Drake and stuff, and they're like, and I'm like seeing to they're like looking at me, and it's kind of to the point where it's like, what do you know about this?
Yeah,
like,
oh yeah, you're one of those now. Oh, you're that age. Back in my days, what you know about that?
I was like, where did you find this song? They're like, oh, like, and they're like, when you went through that phase, you're like, oh, this is like underground music. That's where I'm at, and I feel so old. But yeah, growing up, I think that's going to just be one thing that I want my kids to grow up doing. Yeah. And I know it's going to be like, you have to, because you have to keep that going. Mm-hmm. Especially as the generations go by, like your second gen, third gen, whatever. I still like don't want to forget about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be annoying for them for a little bit, but they'll thank me.
For me, like growing up, right. For me growing up, it was a lot of Los Bukis. Mm-hmm. You know, because Guatemalan, like, we're not big on like banda, corridos. That's not like tamborazo, norteños. Like, that's not us. That's Mexican.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
But it's funny because it wasn't until maybe I'd say 2017, 2018, I started listening to corridos. And I was one that I told myself I would never listen to corridos. That's not me. The one who, my first like really one that I liked was Natanael Cano. And it was because of that fuse with Bad Bunny. And then I started listening to Natanael Cano, got me into like Junior H. It got me, Rabbit Hole, Eslabon Armado, Ivan, Marca. I'm going to Marca Mepe concert next week. You know?
And this is why I thought he was Mexican.
You know, and then I went to really my first banda like concert was 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was Marca Registrada.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm listening to like a lot of this like banda and corrido music. So I guess like I get it. People think I'm Mexican, and it's funny because that's not my culture.
Yes.
But it makes sense like, now. I embrace it, and I like certain things where it's like, you know.
You want to keep that going. And like all of that stuff was things that I hated. I remember like my dad had this, it was like a Silverado.
Oh, yeah.
Blue, gold, black, like stripe, like pimped out 20s, like the rims, blue lights,
dude.
Like it was honestly, now looking back, I'm like, damn, that was clean.
Yeah.
But then I was like, this is embarrassing. Had the sub, like the woofer in the back, like.
Well, as kids, we were like,
like roll up the whip.
Boom, 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 boom. Hitting up to the carniceria.
I'm like, bro, come on, bro. The taco $1.
And that's so funny because like it's funny, and it's not me trying like I wish I were Mexican, because I'm not.
You're embracing
it. I love my culture, and I love being a Guatemalan, but I'm not gonna throw shade at other cultures at the same time. Like I embrace certain parts.
Yes.
It's funny because like I really want a Chevy Silverado truck, like a white drop, like just slammed,
20s
some black rims, just like some subs, just like the tint, you know what I'm saying? Just
a mamalona.
Hell yeah.
You want a mamaloskis? You know what? Look,
Santa, if you out here, you listening, I want a mama whiskey.
Sugar mama, if you're out there.
Para andar con los cuz. No, my cup.
But that's the thing, is like growing up, I was so like, to keep it in the spirit of transparency, like you just grow up and you're like, especially like when you move out of like the, you know, like typical, like I moved out of Lenox and I moved into like the suburb, like South Bay. Mm-hmm. I think you grow up and you're like, oh my God, like this is so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because people don't get it.
Yeah.
Like when you, like I went to Dana, you're surrounded by so many different people that you're just like, oh my God, like please don't pick me up in the truck. I'm like, please don't pick me up in the truck. And it's kind of like you feel like a little bit embarrassed because it's just like they're not gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not. It's like, and I don't even get it. I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you pulling up like at volume 80 with like getting a back massage because of the freaking speakers? But I think that for me is like one of the biggest differences now is that like I embrace it like wholeheartedly, and I'm just like, that's what makes us. Like we have certain little things that just,
no, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And then like people would be like, oh, you're just so, like your family would be like, you're just so whitewashed. Like you don't like, and I'm just like, no, it's just, I don't get the logic.
Speaking of which, that's another thing too. Like my kids, they're going to know Spanish.
Oh no, you
just different reasons. Primero Dios, you know, so they can, you know, talk to my mom, their abuela.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I'm not going to allow them to be a no sabo kid. I cannot let that happen. Yeah. I have a friend, his last name is Jimenez.
I know.
He doesn't speak Spanish. He entiendes un poco, but he doesn't speak Spanish. Right. I'm like, bro, your last name is Jimenez. Yeah. That's like nopal en el frente.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
It's
like
right in the front.
How am I more beaner than you? You know?
Why am I?
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not even Mexican. And I think that's the thing with like the first gen, second gen, like growing up. Obviously, like my grandma, if I ever wanted to communicate with my grandparents, but on both sides, like I needed to speak Spanish.
Exactly.
There was no way. And my grandma, like both grandmas, they raised me. So obviously, like if you're communicating with your family and that's the only way you can, you know, you better learn. And obviously you're surrounded by it. You're hearing it every single day when you're a little child. So like you get it. But I think when you have the choice of English, Spanish, because I'll say like, yes, I consider myself fluent in like basic, you know, like, and I grew up, it was my first like language, but obviously you go to a school, you like have friends and all you speak is English with them, that it's like, it's your preferred language. Yeah. You can obviously like speak to people more in English than you can if it's not basic conversational Spanish.
Right.
Where sometimes like when I go to Mexico, I'm like,
huh? Slow down a little bit.
It's not even slow. It's just like, what do you like? I've never heard this word.
2.0.
Yeah, I've never heard this.
So elevated.
This is like expertise, and I'm not there yet. But that's where it gets tricky because like when you're trying to teach your kids that, it's like, I know it's going to be hard and I'm probably going to have to put him in like an immersion program or just drop him off in Mexico for a couple months and like in the summer, like go learn.
Hey, they did that to me, but it was a summer vacation. The best. Third grade.
It wasn't
3
a
months
vacation.
in Guatemala. It was really like, program. I'm tired of y'all. Go over there. Spend time on the rancho, feeding the cows. Yourself. I loved it. As a kid, I loved it.
And I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah,
like
I'm doing that with my kids.
Yeah. You're gonna drop
Bye. Go to summer camp. Timmy, where'd you go? I went to summer camp. I did too.
What'd you do?
You went to like Mammoth. No, I went to Guatemala.
You didn't? I fed the cows.
I fed the cows.
I did some gardening.
But you know what? I think as Latinos and Latinas, like we have to give ourselves like show ourselves some credit.
Oh, 1,000%.
Because I was even just thinking as a kid, just being a kid and maybe in middle school, having to be the translator for your parent. I know for me, I had to translate like government documents or how to translate post office or parent-teacher conference. Yep. I was a translator.
Yep.
And I know a lot of Latinos and Latinas, they were in the same boat. You guys had to be the translators. You guys had to be the ones taking care of your younger siblings while they're out working. Yeah. You had to be the ones helping them cook, clean.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, give yourselves some credit.
Yeah.
And don't take it for granted.
No, it's something that no one will ever understand unless you had to do it. Me, I was fortunate enough for like my dad. He knew both languages. Obviously, Spanish was his stronger suit. So like I had to I remember like communicating with him mostly in Spanish. But my mom, like she like was born here. So English, unless I was in trouble, which.
Oh, yeah.
Ariana Paola, like when the Spanish came out, it was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
But I remember like I never really had to do that for them, but I found doing that for like my tias and my tios and like sometimes like being the only one who can help my younger cousins with their homework because their parents didn't know English and like couldn't really translate like their English homework or when they had to like read books or write essays. Like I remember I had to be the one where like I don't have any younger siblings, but that was kind of like I remember I had those responsibilities where like I was fortunate enough that I could help them because it was like, yo no sé, like, how am I supposed to read this? Which being in education, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I know those struggles because sometimes like the parents like can't help the kids.
Right.
Because they don't know the language.
Right. Helping with the homework and all that stuff. Yeah, I didn't have that as a kid.
The only thing that I remember, my dad was so good at math because it's numbers. It makes sense. It's universal. But even like teaching that in Spanish to English is like, it's hard.
Yeah.
So it's like, you are constantly like thinking of these things when you're like working in that because it's like, oh, well, uno nunca sabe. Like, you know, like it's like one of those things that you just have to think of and it's a responsibility. Like as a child, I feel like it makes you a well-rounded person because you're like,
definitely.
You have these responsibilities of an adult.
I think
at like 6.
That's so true.
Why am I reading your W-2 forms?
That's so true. Why am I helping you fill out your taxes?
Your driver's license application.
But you know what? Like, I think of it all like I don't know. I get this kind of nostalgia, 90s, like growing up as a kid. And honestly, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
No.
And
I'm so glad.
I feel bad for the upcoming generations because I feel they won't have what we had.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate everything. And the best that we can do is just pass that on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's up to us to pass that on.
Yeah. I remember, like, we're not iPad kids.
Oh, no.
I remember we were the first generation where technology was growing with us.
Yes, yeah.
So, yes, we have a basic knowledge of it, but I see what these kids are doing. I'm like, damn.
My kid ain't getting no iPad.
No, I had a phone with 4 numbers. Mom, dad, I think it was grandma, one of my aunts, and emergency 911.
Yeah.
And they were pre-programmed.
Yeah.
So you hit 1, you were calling mom. You hit 2, calling dad. I didn't have a phone. Like,
right.
That's what you're getting. Like, I'm going to find it somewhere and I'm going to pass it down.
A little Nokia phone.
No, and then I remember, like, when Razors came out and you had to do, like, the 3 clicks, like, like, to get to the freaking J.
Yep.
I was like, and and I think that makes you, like, who you are, because it's so hard now to, like, establish, because you're just constantly looking at other people through a screen, that it's like, nah, my kid's not doing that. You're gonna play in dirt. You're gonna you're gonna go eat worms. You're gonna go. I don't care what you got to do. You're gonna go out, like, in the yarda.
You're gonna have my childhood.
You're gonna watch PBS.
You're gonna have yes.
We're not getting cable.
No, PBS.
You're gonna learn. You're gonna watch Sesame Street.
You're gonna learn today, kid.
And you're gonna watch all the educational things. Like,
it's gonna be a great time.
I don't care if you're made fun of it for, like, not having.
You'll thank me later.
They're not, though. They're gonna be so bad. They're gonna be so bad.
Well, I love it. I think this makes me want to just, like, bust out the Fabuloso and start cleaning now. Just put some music on.
Some Celia Cruz.
Sheesh.
Take it way back. But dude, this is where his Sunday is gonna go.
This is where it's coming.
No, yeah, but I wouldn't change my, like, growing up for the world. Like,
yeah,
I think it is the best thing. I'm so proud. And whenever I speak to people about my childhood, like, Hispanic, like, yeah, obviously there's some traumas, like the chancla. You can never look at a
some trauma. Yeah,
you can never look
El cincho.
Wait, what do you call it?
El cincho.
What is that?
Belt. Oh, that's another thing. There's some differences.
Yes.
Okay, so Guatemalan, so chumpa, una chumpa. That's a jacket.
No.
What do you guys say it?
Un chaleco.
Chaleco. No, we say chumpa. Okay. I was a kid. Before we wrap this up. Yeah.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Ponete una chumpa.
Oh my God.
Like,
see?
put on a jacket. It's different from sweater. It's a jacket. I was a kid going to the store. And I was buying balloons for, like, a birthday party. And this was in Mireya's Market, right?
Oh, yes.
Going 37. I went and I asked him, like, disculpe, tiene vejigas. He's like, what? He did the same face you did. He's
lost.
Like, ¿qué? I'm like, vejigas. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, the ones, like, you blow up for a party. And he's like, oh, así se dice globos.
Globos, yeah.
I'm like, bueno, en mi país se llaman vejigas. I gave that fool a reality. I gave that fool.
Yo digo.
I gave that fool a reality check
because
he tried to check me. He tried to check me.
Yeah.
No, se dice globos. I'm like, no. En mi país se dice vejigas. Yeah. Where they at?
Just point me in the direction of the freaking balloons.
And that's when I learned, like, a lot of stuff is different. You know? Like,
no, yeah, because, and that's what I'm saying, because, yeah, we have a big population, but for the most part, Mexicans are, like, in everywhere. Yeah. Like, you're seeing them everywhere. You're already assuming someone, if they're speaking Spanish, they're Mexican, which
and they're
is, like,
a bigger country to speak with, you know?
Yeah. So the first when I started hearing things, I'm like, what is that? Yeah, like, I know popote, we say popote for a straw. I don't know what you guys say. No. I don't think you guys say popote.
Yeah, no. Vejigas? I think it's vejigas.
I don't know. Something weird, but I think it's like, you have to make it known that, like, oh no, it's like, okay, it'd be ignorant of me to just assume what you're saying. But a lot of people do that. They're like, they try to correct you. Yeah. Especially when you're in Spanish class and you obviously have, like, a Mexican, like, Spanish teacher. You're going to learn Spanish through them. Or
they try to teach, like, the Spaniard version.
Oh, I'd never had that. Thank God. The vosotros. Which is also, like, I think Argentinians use that and stuff.
We say puchcavos. Puchcavos. Or like in what is it?
Salvadorans, I think say vos
They
too.
say maje. Or no, it's Hondurans.
I don't know.
It's maje.
What is that?
It's just pretty much like referring to somebody.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Guatemalans, they say puchica or vos.
Yeah, vos.
Or patojo. Do you know what a patojo is?
No.
That's another Guatemalan thing. That refers to a kid. So patojo is a boy, patoja is a girl.
Like niña, niño.
Exactly.
That's so strange. Yeah. You know what? I kind of like
Love
this.
it. We're going to go have some pollo campero now.
Yo, Scott. Yes.
If you're Central American, you're Guatemalan, Salvadorian, you know pollo campero.
No, I know.
Oh, you know.
Yeah,
and then you know this too. You know that it tastes better in the homeland, the motherland.
I've never been to the motherland, but I wouldn't know that. Yeah.
It tastes different in Guatemala than it tastes here. I say it's the way they kill them. I'm sorry. I was as a kid in 3rd grade. I see my grandma tie a chicken to a tree upside down. That thing was running around with its head off. I was traumatized. I did not have gallina for dinner that night. I swear.
You literally saw the real running with like a chicken without its head.
I did not have gallina that night.
You take
and
that
when
literally.
when I came back home, I didn't want to eat eggs either because I saw when they opened up the gallina, she had eggs in there.
And you have to.
Yeah, so I came back not eating eggs for a bit.
That is so
childhood
trauma.
Speaking
of the traumas, yeah. Speaking of the trauma. Well, I remember I went to Mexico and I witnessed my grandpa kill a pig.
Oh no! Yeah. Just brought out the trauma.
Because it was so.
Boy, was that bacon good though?
No, okay, yeah, I still eat pork. Look, I'm gonna keep it 100p. But I was like, what? It's a whole new world out there. And then you start to put the pieces together, and you're like, no wonder they make a joke out of everything because they seen some out there.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I'm saying? That's why we're so funny because we have so much trouble.
Yeah, there's so much. We just laugh it off.
Ja, 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 ja,
ja, ja, ja, ja.
But yeah, I think I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's the worst. I love it.
Yeah.
But,
nice. Hey, if there's something we missed or there's some kind of
childhood
memory, we want to hear them.
I really want to hear them. Are they the same? Because I know, but if you think, you had it worse, maybe?
Yeah.
I know there's levels to this.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think we all lived the same experiences, just in different ways. But sometimes I still catch myself hearing, other people's, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus.
This is the Latina support group for each other.
If you have any concerns, please call. We'll put a hotline on here.
1-800 the dopamine flow. We're taking calls now.
It'll just be Anthony's phone. But no, yeah, this is my favorite thing to talk about because I'm just always surprised.
Yeah.
There's always new information and I think it's beautiful that we get to live kind of the same, but there's so many differences. In a different way, in a sense. Yeah, boy, girl is different. Between different cultures, it's different. It is just so nice to constantly be learning. And I think that you become a better
person.
Yeah, person, because you're always taking other people into. You're not just tunnel vision.
Exactly. You
widen your lens.
Exactly. Love it. Wow. Do this. Drop down a favorite childhood memory, or even just memory growing up.
Some kind of trauma. I love the trauma ones.
And let's likely we're sharing the same thing.
We'll unpack it.
Yeah. Do that.
Yeah, that's your homework for you guys, is that we want to share these traumas with each other.
So thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for those who are watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you guys so much. Go ahead and subscribe. We're trying to get our subscribers up. We're trying to get there.
Yes.
Like and comment down below what's something that you remember growing up as a Latino or Latina. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we're now on iHeartRadio Podcasts.
Oh, really?
And we're also on Amazon Music.
Anthony's just making things happen over here. This is my first time.
Yeah. I haven't tried it yet, but
we'll see.
I think you can say, hey, Alexa, play the dopamine flow.
Shut up. I don't have an Alexa, but.
Okay, we'll get you one for Christmas.
Thanks.
Black Friday special.
It's buy one get one.
Yeah, buy one get one.
But yeah, I honestly like your guys' feedback and your guys' like, you know, even in passing, just saying like, oh my gosh, I listened to you guys and like I heard this and it was, you know, it just keeps us going and motivates us. So keep on doing what you guys are doing, and we appreciate every one of you. Like I said, Anthony's the logistics guy and he's analytics, and he listens and he sees everything. So
sees what works and what doesn't.
Exactly. So honestly, like, feedback is the most important, and we just want to keep doing this because it's fun, and you know, like, it's fun to share this with you guys.
Yeah, definitely. So
keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and thanks so much for everybody who supported along the way. You know, people just like our Chacha house using your government.
The government. No,
it's because when I went to go pick up your coffee,
it said, "I know." Don't ever say that again. Oh my god.
We'll bleep that out.
Yeah, no.
Like Chacha was saying that, you know, people have just come up to us and genuinely have said like, oh no, like I'm not saying this just because I'm your friend, like, but I genuinely like the podcast. You know, one of my love languages is words of affirmation. I think we talked about this, right?
No, we haven't.
We haven't?
No, we haven't.
We'll unpack this next episode.
We'll get into that.
But yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Stay tuned. We're gonna have some more fun, encouraging, and just like
lighthearted. Yeah, we just want to like feel like we know each other, and that's the main goal of this, is like to kind of just like make it into a little community and share these experiences with you guys. And along the way, you know, we'll discuss like lighthearted things, we'll get into the deep stuff, but honestly, like, that's our main goal with this, and we appreciate and love you guys so much.
Just letting the dopamine flow. You know what I'm saying?
So good.
Dad jokes.
So good.
All right, guys, have a great week. We'll see you guys next time.
Love you guys. Thanks.